Can you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Guys, I would do this last question, question 3, as a learning channel, because I don't know if you tried it, you might have got a bit stuck. I did post you this, if you remember, and I did this one first, this one second. This one is a question. And then this one is level 4, but you could get a question. If I had more time, I would have already drawn it, but I was teaching my matrics at Greens to help James, and I had to rush here. Just bear with me. I just need to draw 2 matrics. So this will be the circle, and inside I'll have another one. It's the best I can do. Little plate, big plate, paper. Okay, now I've got to get that away without breaking it. Okay, just take the smudge away and take the kink out of that plate and the kink out of that. Okay. Read you what was given in the last level 3 or level 4. I'm not too sure myself, but question 3. All right. Oh, we also have a straight line. I draw that straight line. It's sort of there, and you should maybe not on the big circle circumference. This point is A. Then on the small circumference, this point is B. And I'll come to W now. This is C. On the circumference of the small circle, on the circumference of the big circle is D. Then there is a line that goes from, they tell us, the center, and I'll tell you what else they say now. Let's just put that in, that's W. Okay, so it's very important you read what they give you. They say the center. Now I made it easy for you. I just set up both circles. But there's actually a very clever word for that. So we could say O is the center of the concentric circles. Now that just means concentric circles, just means like an onion, rings. All right, so we have a small circle and O is the, we could call them therefore concentric. They A, B, W, C, D. A, B, W, C, D is a straight line. Right? So sorry, that is D, and that is S, abbreviation of straight. Okay, what else do they tell? Blah, 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 blah. Very important. W is midpoint of BC. Let's look at what they're saying. I'll even get color. Do you agree this is a chord, everybody? From B to C, that is a chord. Not the center. Chord, please, this green line is a chord from B to C of the small circle. Here's a bit of interesting. Okay, AD, you can see is a chord, if I extend it, of the big circle. But AD is a secant of the small circle, because look, it goes out and out. But anyway, that's just terminology. Muni panic me. So they are telling me that W is the midpoint of this chord, which in BW equals to WC. And all of this take note. See what they are. I'm going to do it. Okay, now always try and set up your work like statement, reason, and I can't express enough how important the reasons are. All right, because as I said, you only get 50%. Even if everything here is correct, if there's nothing here, you can't get higher than 50%. Okay, the first question is for 4 marks. They want us to prove, let me just write the question here. So 3.1, prove that AB equals CD for 4 marks. Okay, let's first see, okay, they said, can you please prove that from A to B, can you prove that equals the same length from C to D? Okay, this is going to be interesting and it's going to be a lot of fun. Watch what I'm going to say. Do you all agree that because, look at the small circle, because I was given the midpoint of a chord in the small circle, my conclusion is it'll be perpendicular. So what I'm going to say is, my first statement, OW is going to be perpendicular. Please just say of BC for now. Keep it in the small circle. Now remember, your reason is always what you were given. So you say, because line from center, and what was I given? To midpoint. To midpoint of chord, and I think what I would do is in brackets just say small circle. You know, I think one just wants to even keep your own sanity. That was all happening in the circle. Now let's look at the bigger picture. If you just have this big circle and you have a line from the center that is perpendicular to the chord, what is my conclusion? Okay, my conclusion is the length, therefore, from there to there will equal the length from there to there. Why? Because I've got a line from center perpendicular to the chord. So you see, I like this question, it's clever. So now I'm going to tell my examiner, but therefore from A to W, that length there equals the length from W to D. Now my reason for that, is now, why did you know that? It's because, okay, we weren't given this, but it was because we've just worked out that this is now 90. So your reason is line from center, and it's because I've worked out that it is perpendicular to the chord, all right? I'm talking of the big circle. That is why I know that W is the midpoint of the chord from A in the line. See where this is going. Because if this equals to this in purple, but we already know that this little piece equals the conclusion is that that little bit has to equal that bit. So I just need to now backtrack and say, but if you remember, we know that BW equals to WC, Y given, and therefore I think it's quite logical we can conclude that the part from A to B, that part, would equals the part from C to D. I can't tell you exactly where the mark allocation would be, but it's pretty much, I would give 1-1, maybe this statement and reason, and maybe sort of a conclusion, because, you know, basically you've got to like almost take the whole of AW and minus BW, and that would equal the whole of like WD minus WC to give you the leftover piece that is equal. So, you know, as long as you sort of conclude it, I understand exactly what I'm saying there. All right. Now, I will be photocopying you the memo, so I will do that. I need to obviously raise this out so I can put the next question and do the next question. So if you're busy copying this down and it suddenly vanishes, please do not panic. All right.
Ma'am,
So, yes?
ma'am, but how the pro is equal to CD?
Okay, look very carefully. Do you agree? We'll do it one more time. They told me that this here equals this here. Do you agree with me? And then my next conclusion is, therefore, we have in the small circle, I'll even go over the circumference in red, that that line then would therefore be perpendicular because I gave you line from center to midpoint chord. But now if you look at the bigger picture, do you see this big circle, the big one? If you have always center and you've got a line coming down that is perpendicular, do you see all the way A, W, A, B, W, C, D? Do you see that's a chord? So if you've got a line from center perpendicular, then I'm saying the whole of this here would have to equal the whole of that there. Why? Line from center perpendicular to chord. But do you remember, Tanaka, we already know that that is equals to that. So if this whole thing is equals to this whole length here, but we know that that equals to that, then that bit that is left over has to be equal. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Colors are very useful, actually. I won't lie. All right. So let me just remember, this is a level 3-4. So this is like one of those really hard questions. The probability is higher that you would get a question like, if I go to my worksheet, sorry, more like question 1. That was very clever. Remember, we were given that's x, we were given that was 8. So our radius was x plus 8. So we joined the radius there, we had x plus 8. So yeah, that's more likely the kind of level. I got this question that I'm doing now from an IEV, an independent school, and they often throw a lot. The private schools give a lot more level 3 and 4 in their cycle tests and class tests than we at the government do. I don't know why. Their tests are quite challenging. So when you guys complain, oh, that test was too hard, I should show you what they give the private schools. But I often use their questions myself. Okay, so let's move on. We're now on to 3.2. They said, if it is now given, if BW equals to WC, which equals to OW, which is X. Now, before I go further, I need to work out who the hell is who, okay? So let's have a look. BW is from there to there. So that is X units, from there to there. So BW equals WC, so that would also be X, which equals OW. So from the center to that chord, that is also X. So they're basically saying they give you all of that. And then the question is, can you please, okay, so this was given, and they are saying determine OB or express OB, but in terms of X. Now, let's just quickly, 2 marks, have a look. Where is OB? I'd say, but Mrs. Holmboe, I don't see an OB, and that's because you might just have to draw it in. Now, remember, this is B, O is the center. Do you all agree this is a radius of the small circle, not the big circle? Because in the small circle, this line, OB or BO, OB or BO, it goes from the center to the circumference. But I don't know if you can see there, if I just draw you the pertinent part, if that is your O, and that is your W, and this is your B, and it's basically, I'm just trying to show you like this, It's at 90 degrees. That's x, that's x. You see, to find that, it's the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle. This little triangle there. So I'm going to use Pythagoras. Right? It's very common to use Pythagoras with this line from center perpendicular to chord because you have right-angled triangles. So what I'm basically going to say is I'm going to say in O. Then I have told my examiner where to look. Do you agree that the hypotenuse, which is OB squared, will equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides? That we've learned since grade 8. And who came up with that? Not you, not me. It's Pythagoras. So that is your reason. Now, my reason is going to slap into the variable a. So I'm going to write my reason just here. Pythag. You are allowed to abbreviate his name, and thank goodness, because I don't know if I know how to spell the rest of it. Pythagoras, Iris, I never remember. But in geometry, and we are doing circle Euclidean geometry, remember, I need reasons. And if you do not tell me Pythagoras, you don't get that mark. So basically, OB squared will equals to x squared plus x squared. All right? I'm doing 3.2, but I'm bumping into my question. My whiteboard is just a bit small. Okay, so OB squared would be apple plus apple, 2 apples squared. You'd square root both sides, but obviously it can only be positive because it's length. So you have the positive. Now you've got 2 times x squared. So you can think about it.
Yeah, I want to find that.
I don't know who's laughing like that, but please don't. Because there's no terms, there's no plus or minus, it's joined by times. That is why I'm allowed to square root the x squared. It would be the x squared. So he's on the outside of the root because he's been square rooted, and inside is the 2. So that will read x surd 2, meaning x times surd 2 units. Okay, you all now know what a surd is. So in terms of x, OB, so from there to there is going to be x surd 2 units. I'll just make a note in my diagram. All right, I'm going to erase that. The mark allocation would have been, this, statement and reason. And if you leave Pythagoras out, you get nothing and 1 for the answer. So if you got the answer, but you never gave me the Pythagoras, you get 1 out of 2, not 2 out of 2. All right, let me just, the last question was definitely a little bit on the hard side, but a lot of fun. Okay, and fun does not mean hard. I promise you, it means just, you have to think. And I love it when you have to think in maths. Imagine if everything was on a level 1. You'd be so bored. What makes me love the subject is it makes my brain, it makes me think. And I know some of you always say, when am I going to use this in my life? All right, the probability is you won't use circles again in your life. But it teaches you logic. Prior to 2014, they took this section out of the syllabus, and it was in a different exam called Maths Paper 3. And the engineers at the universities, people going into engineering, said to the Department of Education, bring back geometry, because geometry teaches you logic. In other words, you say, like, the question will say, get this, and then you've got to step back and say, well, to get that, I need to maybe do this, And if I do this, then I can do this. And then it's like a chess game. So if any of you are good at chess, I bet you're good at maths, because you've got to have strategy. All right? There's a definite connection between maths and chess and maths and music. I'm warning, not warning, I'm just mentioning. Okay, what is the last question? The last question, 3.3. I'll need a bit of space. It's 6 marks. Sure. Okay, now it says it is further given. So it is further given that AB equals 3 dot BC. So the line AB is 3 times whatever BC is. All right? We'll come back to that. They want us to find or determine the ratio. Now remember, a ratio is like a fraction. Remember trigonometry? If you get, for example, cos of 60 degrees, the answer is a half. That is a ratio, all right? We can write ratios like that or like that. So all fractions, common fractions, are ratios, all right? So let's just move on. Find the ratio of the radius of the outer circle. So can I call it the big circle is to the small circle? Okay, I'm putting it in my own words. If we're looking at, we want the radius of the big circle is to the radius of the small circle. What is the ratio? Okay, now let's just analyze this. Let's start with the statement. They said AB equals 3 times BC. Now, we know that BC, look carefully at my diagram, wouldn't that just be x plus x? So this is so not drawn to scale. I have to warn you, this is not drawn to scale. I don't have the right size plates. But if BC is x plus x, therefore, that would be 2x. So AB, and I know it's not drawn to scale, my outer circle should be much bigger, but my outer circle, AB, therefore, that piece is going to be, that becomes 6x. So I know you're thinking, oh, Mrs. Holmboe, okay, that would not be allowed in a matric final. They'd have to make that outer circle bigger. Because if that's 6x, that can't be x. But do you understand, Mrs. Holmboe only has these 2 plates, right? So we're pretending the bigger circle is bigger. But now let's draw in the radius of the big circle. Okay, obviously it would be a straight line, but I see where this is going. Because do you understand, we now know that from A to B, from there to there is 6x. So do you see we have a right angle triangle? If we go right there, there. Now we want the radius of the big circle. Now let's have a look. From there to there would be this 6x, but then plus that x. So do you agree that we know BW is x given? All right, this was also, by the way, given. So, or you can even say that was given, sorry. That this is proven, because basically we've proven that BC is, okay, so W, this is B, in case you can't see it, because that is 1x, do you agree from A to W is going to be 6x plus 1x, which is 7x. So in other words, if that's A, that's 7x. If you go up to the center, remember that was given to us, that's x. OW equals x given, all right? So in terms of x, do you understand, we can get the radius of this big triangle, and we know it's a right angle triangle because we've already got the 90, all right? We've already got that 90, so we're allowed to therefore work with Pythagoras. So I have to unfortunately move up, but basically from A to O squared, so that radius of the big, this is A, The radius of this big circle is your hypotenuse. We're looking at this triangle now. Okay, I read through it there.
Ma'am,
So that is, yes,
you have 10 minutes left.
thank you. That's going to equal from A to W squared plus from WO squared. Why? Pi fab. All right, so now that I've got that, AO squared equals, now AW is 7x. Remember, you're squaring the x and the 7. From W to O, that's O, is x. But remember, you're squaring that. So AO squared equals to 49x squared plus 1x squared. So if you add it up, AO squared, they are like terms, is 50x squared. Square root both sides, but we're only going to work with the positive. So now this is interesting because 50 is 2 times 25 and then times x squared. I have to remove this line. So think about it. You can square root that and you can square root that. So AO, which is the radius of the big circle, do you agree would be 5x third 2. I square rooted 25, he's on the outside. I square rooted x squared, he's on the outside. And the 2 is inside the radical, so it's third 2. And if you remember, we've already done the radius of the small circle, okay? Do you remember the radius of the small circle? OB squared was x squared plus x squared. So OB squared, we've done this, I'm just reminding myself, square root. So OB, and that's the radius of the small circle, we square rooted x squared and left it like this. So they want the ratio of the big circle's radius is to, I'll do it vertically, the radius of the small circle. That's what the question's asking. So the radius of the big circle is 5 times x times third 2. The radius of the small circle is x third 2. So if you cancel that and you cancel that, you're left with 5 over 1. So it is 5 over 1, or you could say it is 5 is to 1. That and that would both be accepted. That was a very, very clever question. All right. It is very hard to do circle geometry on a whiteboard. It'd be much more ideal that I give you all the piece of paper and I do it on the whiteboard, but then you do it with me because you really need to do it. So as we progress with other lessons, I'm going to take, questions, and I'll even make that bigger. I'll have to try and to save time, because if I have to draw this, it's going to take maybe 5 minutes. So I'm going to have to really draw these pictures as big as I can. And the next thing I'd like to say, you need to have colors, right? Without colors, this section is a little bit hard. But so far, I want to recap. Am I right to say I have about 4 minutes left? Someone? Hello?
6 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. So look, despite the fact this question was very tricky, all I've done so far is just yesterday and today. 2 concepts, basically. Only 2 concepts. And I'm going to just go over them one more time. So, if you are given O is center, and you have chords, let's say AB, all right? Now, I'll draw them like this, doesn't matter. Make that AB, make this chord, will go on the side, AB, doesn't matter. As long as it's a straight line, that's a flop fail of a straight line. I'll still make it AB. That must be on the circumference. Let's try that again. It must be a straight line. Okay. It is a straight line. It's just a very, very thick straight line. So what have I taught you? Okay, I've taught you, let's put that as D. If that is what you are given, so if you are also given that OD is coming in perpendicular to the chord AB, what is my conclusion? Please notice conclusion in red, your conclusion. So you would say, therefore, AD from there to there equals DB. Why? What were you given? What were you given in black? It's because you have line from center and they told me perpendicular to chord. Therefore, it bisects the chord. All right, now if you have a line from the center, this time I give you this. So this would be, I'm telling you in the given that AD equals DB. I'm giving you that. Or I could say D is the midpoint of the chord AB. What is my conclusion? If you see that, you know that this will be 90 and that will be 90. That's angle D1, angle D2. So my conclusion is you could either say OD is perpendicular to AB. Now your reason is what you were given in black. So that would be line from center. You were given what? To midpoint of chord. That's what you were given, so that is your reason. I often would, rather than say that, I often say D1 hat equals D2 hat, which is 90 degrees. They're 90 degrees for the same reason. So guys, to wrap up, that's all we've done so far. I'm going to repost those questions with the memo, and then maybe just try those 3 questions again. Remember, the one in the middle is very easy. The one here, a little bit harder and very, very common in exams. This one, very rare, much trickier, but clever. All right? The answer just got a little bit cut off, so I'll just fix it up before I send it. Tomorrow, guys, we're doing our lesson at 11:45 because it's Friday, and I will continue with circle geometry. All right? So I won't do any more. Your homework is maybe just retry the 3 examples, and I will send the memo. I love you lots, guys. Stay warm and God bless.